This is a very short class on the topic of plagiarism. Unfortunately, it's a topic we have to discuss because it happens. It's simply related to cheating, and some students are guilty of it, and many people steal other people's ideas and portray those ideas as their own. These are plagiarists. But we're more concerned about happening within education, and it needs to stop, and we need to take action to stop it. And here I want to talk about why it's bad and just give some little examples of it. The following is based on a definition given in dictionary.com. It sees plagiarism as an act that uses language and thought that closely follows another author but without authorization. It is an act on the part of one writer to deliberately misrepresent another person's work as his or her own. Now, dictionary.com goes on to give the following synonyms: appropriation, infringement, piracy, counterfeiting, theft, cribbing, passing off. All of these words, dictionary.com suggests, are synonyms for plagiarism. And as you can see, it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing to be accused of. In academic circles, a student who is accused of plagiarism has a real problem. A problem to defend himself or herself against the accusation. And if a student is found guilty of it, many colleges will expel the student. And also, a student who has graduated, say, but who has later been found to have been guilty of plagiarism, may be forced to hand back their qualification, may be forced to hand back their degree, for example. In which case, all the years of study have come to nothing, all because they cheated. Plagiarism, quite simply, is stealing ideas. If you have an essay to write, and you go to a textbook and you find some lovely paragraphs in there which exactly say what you want to say. They're not your paragraphs, remember. They're written by somebody else. But you copied them out, and now you present them to the reader as yours. That's stealing. You've just stolen somebody else's work and you're presenting it as your own. So universities and colleges have fought back against this by having very sophisticated software that now checks people's work, students' work, to see if it has been stolen from other colleges or universities around the world, or if it has been published anywhere. Very sophisticated software that is used in many colleges and universities. And by and large, the people who cheat will be found. Plus, academics, who are very intelligent people, generally speaking, know when somebody is cheating. So it's simply not worth it. Plagiarism for qualifications to have value must be accurate. They must accurately show the student's ability. They must be accurate. If a student studies for a qualification but really cheats to get the qualification, then that student can then cheat an employer. The employer thinks they're getting a person of a certain standard, and they're not. So the qualification must show the student's abilities. Cheating and misrepresenting the truth is similar to stealing from the college or university. And also stealing from other students whose qualifications are being devalued. In fact, the whole idea of plagiarism just upsets the whole labour market. It's distorting the whole labour market. People who are not very intelligent, who have cheated their way through a qualification, may land good jobs at the expense of people who were honest and tried hard and perhaps did not get the job. Sometimes in economics this is known as asymmetric information. It's seldom put together in the context of plagiarism, but I just want to give you an example of what I mean by this. This is the concept of asymmetric information. It means two sides to a deal, the employer and the student, let's say. They've both got different information. Now the qualification should mean that both the employer and the student have the same information. The employer knows the student because the employer knows the qualification. But if the student has cheated, then the employer doesn't know that. So imagine this scenario. Mr. A, who has many skills and is highly intelligent, but has no educational qualifications. Now just imagine Mr. A. In an interview, Mr. A claims to be able to do the job, but why should the employer believe him? He has no qualifications. He claims to be able to do the job, but he has no qualifications, so he's disadvantaged. On the other hand, Mr. B, who in fact has less talent than Mr. A, but has educational qualifications, will be offered the job. Now Mr. A knew he has talent, but could not prove it, so the employer did not believe him. He had more knowledge than them, but he could not prove it. There was asymmetric information. So you can see how this works. If someone arrives for an interview and says that they have got a lot of skill and a lot of talent and they can do the job, why should the employer believe them? Everyone can say that. Now someone arrives for the interview and says, I can do the job, I've got a lot of skill and a lot of ability, oh, and I've got a degree, I've got this H&D diploma, I've got certain qualifications. Now the employer says, the person must be good because they've got these qualifications. So the employer works on the basis of the qualifications. But if the student has cheated to get those qualifications, then the student has cheated the employer and has cheated the other people who have gone in good faith to get the job. Like Mr. A, who went to get the job and knew he could do the job and was very honest, but the employer would not believe that he could do it. He had no qualifications. Plagiarism and cheating destroy the value of the qualification, and it will cease to bridge the asymmetric information gap. In other words, when we use a qualification, we give confidence to the employer. We are bridging this asymmetric information gap. Somebody who knows they can do the job, why should the employer believe them? The employer doesn't have to believe them. It's just somebody saying they can do the job. But if the person saying that they can do the job also has qualifications, that bridges the gap. Now the employer will have confidence. But if the qualification that's been offered is bad, then why should they believe them? Cheating destroys the qualifications, and that's why it is bad. Now, asymmetric information is not normally put together in the context of this discussion, but that is the underpinning theory behind why it's bad. A lot of people would say that my emphasis here is too economic and too theoretical, and simply plagiarism is dishonest and unethical, and that's why it's bad. And I agree with that. But it also distorts the market. So a lot of people who are studying for qualifications are doing so to get a good job. And if they find at the interview that somebody else gets the job but that person has cheated, that is so unfair. That's all I'm going to do on plagiarism. I hope it does not apply to anyone looking at the video or associated with the H&D. honesty and study and understanding and being a normal student working for the qualification openly and decently is the only way forward. With that, let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.